In plain terms, this document shows three things. Safety critical turning studies existed. The developer directed that these not be shown to the township supervisors. The team agreed to provide verbal assurances without safe access without providing the underlying engineering. For a subdivision with a single substandard access route, this is not a minor paperwork issue. It goes directly to the emergency access for fire trucks and school buses. Saldo and MPC require full, honest disclosure of engineering related information related to public safety. When key studies are withheld and replaced with scripted assurances that the township engineer cannot perform a complete review and any prior approval cannot be said to rest on a full and accurate record. For tonight's decision, this email is powerful evidence that the application before you is not complete. That critical emergency access information has not been fully disclosed, and you cannot responsibly recommend final approval until complete, unedited, turning movement analyses are submitted, reviewed, and made a part of the public record. The Majestic Woods plan remains a one-way in, one-way out subdivision dependent on a narrow substandard bridge or culvert at the Sleepy Hollow and Stoltz intersection. This access route is substandard in width, grade, and shoulder, fails minimum turning radius and sight distance requirements, has an obstructing utility pole, which apparently they're going to move, but still it lacks a PennDOT inspection load rating and is nearing end of life. There are multiple emails asking for an inspection report. The Worcester is asking for an inspection report of the culvert. And he knows with Tom, it doesn't exist. When Tim and I came down, there's no inspection report on that bridge culvert. So if this is approved, we, the taxpayers, are going to be left holding the bag when all these construction vehicles and timbering vehicles go back and forth across that culvert. It's a disaster. When the flooding happened in 2018 and the cars were floating around down in the trolley stop in, again, that intersection flooded. The interceptor, there's a gas line under that culvert. That interceptor was destroyed and it cost the township hundreds of thousands of dollars. Every commissioner who voted not to recommend in April 24 cited the single access as a central safety defect, and it's still uncorrected. A subdivision of this scale cannot lawfully proceed without safe, reliable ingress and egress for residents, school buses, and emergency vehicles. The township taxpayers will bear this burden. ACED findings from August 5th, 2025 confirmed continued non-compliance. Allegheny County Economic Development found that Sleepy Hollow Road right-of-way is only approximately 33 feet far below the 50-foot standard. The plan shows repaving and widening to 24 foot without detailed profiles. Widening will require major excavation and heavy traffic will degrade the road. The bridge is narrow, functionally part of Stoltz-Sleepy Hollow intersection, and cannot be widened without full replacement. Because the bridge is the sole access and any blockage makes the entire subdivision inaccessible to emergency vehicles aside from helicopters. The county findings reinforce that the access problem is not speculative, it's documented and unresolved. You probably have the ACED letter, but it's Exhibit E. And in Ms. Yeagel's letter, she recommended final approval based on a favorable review from Allegheny County Economic Development. So you're sitting here telling us that you recommend this? Your letter specifically said a favorable review from Allegheny County Economic Development. You did not receive a favorable review from Allegheny County Economic Development.
Thank you.
In Dan's letter as well, the responses to Allegheny County Economic Development's comments remain unaddressed. This is his Friday letter, the Friday before the Planning Commission meeting, still unaddressed. Under the geotechnical risks, under the SALDO, you cannot recommend final approval where basic geotechnical safety has not been demonstrated on the record. ACA's April 2nd, 2024 and October 16th, 2025 geotechnical reports and follow-up materials document multiple hazards that are not typical or routine conditions, even for South Park Township, including medium to high plasticity clays, expansive soils, carbonaceous shale and coal seams capable of acid generation, mine subsidence, and shallow groundwater, approximately 17 feet. The record confirms an 8-foot mine void at B28 beneath the proposed lots 119 and 123. ACA recommends grouting, yet provides no quantitative mine subsidence model. No sealed grouting designs that I've seen. No settlement consolidation predictions of thick fills. No shrink swell evaluation for expansive soils. No global stability analysis for the overall site. No groundwater mine interaction analysis affecting PCSM basins, utilities, or roadways. The October 2025 ACA report keeps the same basic acid rock warning language, but still offers only generic recommendations. No site-specific testing results, no quantities, no sealed management plan tied to the final grading or stormwater design. Changing the wording doesn't remove the risk. It leaves it unquantified and unmanaged. Without quantitative subsidence modeling and engineered scale mitigation plan, neither the long-term performance of homes, roads, or utilities, nor the safety of future residents can be assured. See Exhibit F outlining risks with excerpts from the developer's own geotechnical report. Under Saldo's section 118-3, 118-4, 118-12H18, you cannot recommend final approval where deep mining, landslide-prone soils, and other geologic hazards have been identified when the applicant has not provided the geologic reporting and quantitative designs needed to ensure safe streets, fire protection, and protection against the loss of health, safety, or property. Dan is not a geotechnical engineer. His geotechnical engineer should be here given the risks at this specific site. Sleepy Hollow Run and mapped wetlands lie immediately adjacent to the grading limits. Proposed fills and grading appear to intrude into the protective buffers. The record does not evaluate acid mine drainage nor contaminant mobilization risks from excavation, grouting, or disturbance of carbonaceous shale. There are still impacts to adjoining landowners. Representative impacts to downhill neighbors remain unmitigated, including clear cutting 2 property lines and steepened fill slopes without adequate lower diversion ditches sending runoff into the existing yards like Bonnie Gilday's property. Storm sewers placed along the hill crest that accelerate downslope flow hazards towards homes. Construction nuisance and safety impacts including vibration, heavy equipment traffic, noise without defined monitoring standards. There are still unresolved issues with the developer's plan to widen Sleepy Hollow Road, particularly the proposal to add a retaining wall in front of the Gildays at 1971 Sleepy Hollow Road. Because the road is only about 22 feet wide currently, the developer will likely need an additional right-of-way from affected property owners through a recorded subdivision or right-of-way plan. More space than just the thickness of the wall is required. A drainage bench is typically needed at 4 to 6 feet out from the face of the wall. There are also trees in the wall area whose trunks and roots would have to be removed in front of Bonnie and Mark's house. In practical terms, this work cannot be done without acquiring additional right-of-way. The developer shows the wall, but they don't show the drainage that's needed behind the retaining wall. That is Exhibit G, reputation of the developer. Before I close, I want to say one brief thing about credibility. You will hear other residents speak about Mr. Zokaitis' reputation. I want to simply read into the record language from a published federal court decision involving him so that you can weigh in for yourselves. That is again attached to Exhibit G, the header. He sued Frances Hill, who wrote the letter last year about her experience in the $6.5 million jury verdict, of which he has yet to pay a dime, and he's paying a penalty fee. He sued her for defamation for writing that letter to be read here at the meeting last year. In Landsaw, a case in the United States Bankruptcy Court for the Western District of Pennsylvania, the judge wrote as follows about Mr. Zokaitis' conduct. The post-filing conduct of the defendant, Mr. Zokaitis, ranks within the most egregious this court has personally witnessed while on the bench or even reviewed in its research. Frank Zokaitis clearly knew what he was doing, believing that he was above the law. This clearly is a case where a financially capable bully arrogantly attempted to manipulate the system and intimidate the debtors so that he could collect rent he believed he was due even after the bankruptcy was filed. He's filed bankruptcy also under the LP that caused damage to the Hill property, and again, hasn't paid a dime. There's no way that they're going to clear cut this all. There's no way they're going to do all 4 phases. They're going to do phase 1. The township's going to be left screwed and holding the bag. So, see Exhibit G to the federal judge's case. I offer this not as my opinion, but as the words of a federal judge evaluating Mr. Zokaitis' behavior and a reported decision for you to consider alongside everything else you've heard tonight. For all of the above reasons, I respectfully request the Planning Commission vote not to accept the final application as complete under the saldo. If the application is nonetheless accepted, vote not to recommend final approval consistent with your April 24th, 2024 non-recommendation. Require at minimum any future consideration of sealed geotechnical plan with quantitative mine subsidence modeling and a full roadway home utility grout design. Proof that all required DEP erosion, sediment and stormwater permits, including the NPDS permit, have been submitted to and reviewed by ACCD. Conforming safe access improvements, including the intersection redesign and a full bridge replacement if necessary, completed or guaranteed prior to recording. In closing, every independent review from your own April 2024 vote to Allegheny County's safety findings to ACA's own geotechnical data shows that Majestic Woods remains incomplete, unsafe, and non-compliant. Preliminary approval was rescinded by operation of law. Final plans were never transmitted to ACCD, and the applicant still offers only one unsafe access point over a deficient culvert. Meanwhile, the record admits an 8-foot mine void beneath future homes, but provides no subsidence modeling or sealed mitigation design. Tonight, the responsible action is straightforward. Vote no on completeness and vote no on any recommendation for final approval. Protect the safety of existing and future residents of South Park Township, uphold the saldo and the NPC, and stand by your own record. Thank you.
Carolyn, you would like to speak? Thank you.
A few moments ago, it was identified some points that I had made. I'd like to ensure, as the review of certain videos from my time in the initial parts of this meeting, I did give that in terms of zoning, that this was ready to move forward. It is accurate to also say that, as it is with each of my review letters, that the final plan application is recommended for the final subdivision plan approval, subject to the favorable review of the township engineer and the favorable review of Allegheny County. Those are words that I do include, and I continue to include as part of this process. So from a perspective of zoning and the criteria within the ordinance, I did identify this was ready to move to a next step. Thank you.
But are you saying there was a favorable review by Allegheny County? Because there wasn't.
No, I did not say that.
Okay, so then you don't recommend it because there wasn't a favorable review.
I said the final plan application is recommended for final plan, subdivision plan approval, subject to favorable review of the township engineer and favorable review of Allegheny County.
Which didn't happen. There was not a favorable review by Allegheny.
She's not making a judgment either way. That's a statement she includes in every one of her letters.
Understood, but she's approving, she's giving her approval from her professional perspective, is she not? Are you recommending final approval?
Of her responsibility.
Her responsibilities. That's correct. Ted?
Happy Thanksgiving, guys. A little bit taller than me. My name is Thaddeus Sobek. I live at 1619 Annette Avenue. I've been a resident of the township for almost 50 years, and distant relatives have been residents of the township for over 100 years. So I'm familiar with the township. I plan on a very brief summary of everything and highlight several concerns that I have, obviously. My background, I have a degree in civil engineering from the University of Pittsburgh. I'm a registered professional mining engineer before I retired. I'm retired now, so a little bit older. I started school with a slide rule, so you know. The Planning Commission and the Board of Supervisors, as representatives, and as Jason has stated, you represent the residents. You represent the taxpayers. You have an explicit duty to officiate the safety and economic well-being of the current taxpayers, and as well as any future residents that may move into the township through any planned developments. Honestly, I'm not against development, period. But they have to be done properly. They have to be done within the laws of the township, the county, the state, whatever, and meet the standards. Unfortunately, I don't see some of the standards being met here. Two critical issues that I have outlined and discussed with Jason and Tim and stuff like that. But I'm going to keep mine simple because I'm going to reiterate it because I've gone through a lot of detail. I reviewed the technical report from ACA. Item 4.4 of the ACA report, their whole geotech calculation is based on 30 years experience. There's no calculation. How can you do a geotechnical analysis without the engineering calculations? I worked for geotechnical engineers. I supervised geotechnical engineers as far as my 40 years experience in the mining business. I was part of a world-renowned consultancy that traveled all over the world. There's processes you follow. You just can't go, there's a rule of thumb, we're sticking to it, this is how you do things. So when I read item 4.4, I said, wow, there are actual engineering calculations that determine the potential subsidence and lateral support that's required for the project. Some of the items consideration are the types of rocks. They say bedrock, there's sandstone, there's different types of sandstone, there's shales, there's different types of shales. The void, the mine void you have to determine the height of the mine void. That determines lateral support also. Has retreat mining taken place in the process? If there's retreat mining, there's greater probability of subsidence. Has that been considered? Has that been reviewed by mine maps? What has been done from a geotechnical standpoint other than we have 30 years experience? None. None that I could see with any of the reports. So that is a primary concern for the safety and well-being of any access you have, utilities, gas lines, homes. And item 7.0 reiterates and supports my opinion. The general considerations directly support that are on page 20. ACA should review the final building design and grading plans. They haven't reviewed them yet. How can they determine the answer? Page 21. It is recommend, this is a quote, it is, per the report, it is recommended that all construction operations dealing with the earthworks and foundation construction be reviewed by an experienced geotechnical engineer who can evaluate the conditions encountered. The geotechnical engineer didn't write the geotechnical report. Who wrote it? A geologist, not an engineer. That's why the calculation's missing. Item 6.1.1. An engineer who started out on I'm trying to abbreviate because I know it's been long. The report only states that unsuitable soils or materials have to be removed. If you compare the previous geotech report, they went into detail about acid-bearing formations, how they had to be removed. This report is remiss and took that out of the report. Why? It's part of the NPDS, it's part of the process of removing acid-bearing materials when they build these foundations. It's critical. It's been removed. They're deceiving you by words.
Yes.
Slope stability. I won't even get into slope stability. That's a whole other thing. But the problem I have is 100% slopes above the existing properties, gradation, and how they will take care of large volumes of precipitation if we have a large storm event before they've had chances. I have not reviewed those documents. I don't even know if they exist. The other issue, the second issue I have is, and Jason detailed that in quite some detail. I'm sorry you repeated that. But I consider it an important part of the process. I looked at the turning radius when the telephone pole was there, and I made comments early on. Actually wrote a letter to South Park News and posted some things on social media because that is a critical concern of mine. Who is going to pay for the bridge enhancement? Who's going to pay for the bridge, culvert bridge widening? It's not going to handle school buses. School buses by state law cannot back up without a spotter. They're not going to turn on Stokes Road coming northbound and make that turn. The way the bridge is positioned. I have a diagram. I did have a survey and I did the turning radiuses. I haven't seen any of that documentation. According to the emails provided, Sukaitis decided not to show those to you or make them publicly available. So we can't even begin to comment on those. But those are two considerations. One, safety from the geotechnical standpoint. Two, economic considerations that's going to be borne by the taxpayers of the township. I thank you for your attention and have a happy Thanksgiving.
Mary Amoroso.
Good evening, gentlemen. My name is Mary Amoroso. I live at 1875 Stoltz Road, and I have the stables at 1857 Stoltz Road. I, for years, was an American Riding Instructor Association trainer and barn manager, certified by the ARIA, which is a nationwide organization dedicated to safe riding. I'm now retired. I used to teach many children to ride, including taking children on ponies down Sleepy Hollow Road for the very first trail ride. I'm also the former Allegheny County Director of the Pennsylvania Equine Council. And this young lady took most of my speech. So I'll be up here very briefly. Thank you. You did very well, by the way. No one really has mentioned the safety of the horses and riders, and the developer hasn't even brought it up. And this young lady is also very correct that we will need a dedicated horse trail. Sleepy Hollow Road has been used by horses for over a century. Half of that century I was using the word trails. Section 3103 of the Motor Vehicle Code states that every person riding an animal or driving an animal-drawn vehicle upon a roadway shall be granted all of the rights and shall be subject to all the duties applicable to the driver. So horsemen have every right to use that road, and we will. We also have to obey the laws, as a developer should. So a dedicated horse trail would be needed, but I don't see where he can fit it in on such a narrow road. He now has a wall on one side, and looks like we have a cliff on the other. That's about all I have to say since it was already said. I do wanted to mention that since I've been here and living in South Park for the past 30 years, I've noticed a dramatic increase in the coyote, fox, and hawk population. So when all these Sleepy Hollow little critters are driven away, they're going to be coming into people's backyards. Pets and children will be in danger. A lot of people here tonight were born here in South Park. They've lived there their entire lives, and they're very opposed to this development. I chose to live here in South Park. I came here from Bethel Park. I originally grew up in the city on Mount Washington, but I chose to come to South Park because of the Majestic Woods. And those Majestic Woods, that name is an abomination used by the state. The name should be changed to Majestic Profits from the former woods, if this goes through. Thank you.
Tom Criano?
Not as tall as Tim. Good evening, my name is Tom Priano. I live at 1020 Old Post Road. My property abuts the Sleepy Hollow property in question this evening along the southwestern border. To begin this evening, I have a few questions. First, how does a request for final approval get added to the Planning Commission's meeting agenda? That's a non-rhetorical question. How does that happen?
Who's stumped?
Anybody? Crickets? Who submits the request to put this up for discussion tonight? Is it the developer? Is it the township? Is it the code enforcement officer? Who does it?
Any applicant coming to the township for whatever item it may be, perspective of being heard in front of planning commission, makes an application.
So the developer is the one that made this request?
Or any property owner, whoever it may be.
Well, no, I'm speaking very specifically about this, these meetings. So the developer is the one that has made the request, hey, I want to have this all heard. I'm ready. Is that a correct understanding?
We received that application from the township, who received it from the
Okay.
applicant.
Okay, all right. November 26, 2024 Planning Commission meeting was advertised in the Park News to include the Majestic Woods subdivision plan. Why was the Majestic Woods development removed from that meeting?
They were not prepared to be at this at the meeting at that time.
Okay, they were not prepared to be at the meeting. The July 23, 2025 Planning Commission meeting was advertised to include the Majestic Woods development. Why was that meeting canceled? I have a feeling it's the same answer, but...
It would be the same answer.
Okay.
Correct.
The August 27th Planning Committee meeting was also canceled, and it was also supposed to have the Majestic Woods on there. And I assume that it was because the developer was not prepared.
Well, I think part of the problem, and please correct me if I'm wrong, is that the advertising time frame required by the Park News.
Correct.
It has to be put in.
Sure, it has to be put in ahead of time, but the developer said, hey, I'm ready, put me on, I'm ready to go.
They were preparing to be ready, and then something.
Okay, so 4 times he failed to come to this meeting in preparation.
Can I interrupt you?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. As a courtesy to all the residents of South Park Township,
Mhm.
the township does advertise in the Park News.
Mhm.
Now, the Park News deadline, the time frame that we have to submit our advertising for the Park News deadline does not coincide with the deadline that we have with the developer
Okay.
to submit their final application
Okay.
or final documents.
Okay, but
Again, we could forget about advertising in South Park News and in turn just advertising say the Post Gazette, and we wouldn't have those issues.
Okay.
Sounds
Okay.
like a plan.
Okay. I guess my point is that he had to make a request every single time, because he's not,
No,
there's
wait,
times
let
different
me
there,
interrupt
aren't
you.
there?
He did not make those specific requests.
Okay.
Each time there was an advertisement in the Portland News.
Okay,
We proactively advertise.
okay. So,
Anticipate that they will be submitting to come to the planning commission. And
but it was
after-
not every single month.
It was not every single month, like I said, we anticipated.
Okay, so there were months we didn't
Based off of
anticipate.
communications, based off of submittals, review letters back and forth.
Okay.
That's just the normal day-to-day of business.
Okay.
The operators are trying to get development approved.
Okay.
In the township. Like I said, we could eliminate all that headache if we would just stop advertising in the Park News. We wouldn't have that.
Okay. Okay. Is it a fair statement to say that we have seen a pattern of ill preparedness by this developer? Is that a fair statement?
I think that's incorrect.
You think it is incorrect?
Sir, you're asking for an opinion.
Right.
and
I
you
am.
already- That's not.
You're
facts.
making the assumption of multiple,
Okay.
of multiple submittals from the developer, and I'm trying to explain to you that that did not happen.
Okay.
And again, my office is the one who's in charge of making these advertisements for the planning commission meetings. Whether one actually happens or it doesn't happen. Many times you'll come here to the township building, you'll see a note on the front door that says, there will be no planning commission meeting today. Or we have it posted on the township website or other social media platforms that the township uses to get information out to the residents. And again, I'll make this statement again, if we would stop using the South Park News and just advertise in the Post Gazette and on the township website, we wouldn't have these problems, we wouldn't have these issues. There wouldn't be advertising sent out to the residents for them to read that, oh, there's gonna be a planning commission meeting this month. When the reality is, maybe 4 days after, or 5 days after we sent that advertisement into the South Park News, that at that point, we realized there isn't gonna be a meeting. And it's not due to a developer, whether it's these people here, or somebody trying to get a one lot subdivision, or it doesn't matter what it is. But that's the process that our office is, and that's the process that it's been in place for decades in the township. And, I continue to follow that process as that's what's been going on. And like I said, I'm willing to stop advertising in South Park News tomorrow and eliminate it.
When would you advertise in the Post Gazette? What is the time
Two
frame?
separate advertising dates. Both advertising dates that do get submitted in there, along with the Park News. And we don't have these deadline issues or the overlapping of an advertisement in the paper that never ends up happening with the planning commission.
But the developer does not say each month, hey, I'm gonna be ready, I'm gonna be prepared.
Now, we reach
Or-
out to the developers.
So he gives you an indication that he will be.
We do
Okay.
sometimes, and
Okay.
sometimes they do say, we're gonna try to make it happen, but other times it just doesn't happen.
Okay.
And other times we advertise in advance without hearing from the developers, in
Okay.
anticipation that they may, out of a courtesy to the residents of the township.
Okay. Based on that information, I'm going to make an assumption, and I will not ask for the opinion, but I'm going to make an assumption that we do see a pattern of ill preparedness on the part of this developer. The developer is supposed to be a professional in his field, yet these meetings have been canceled because he's not been able to be adequately prepared. This developer has had over a year and a half to prepare his application, plan this development, and meet the Board of Supervisors' conditions. And we've seen tonight demonstrated very well that this doesn't appear to be evident, that these things have not happened. He continues to fail to do this time and time again. It's concerning to me that this request for final approval keeps getting added to the Planning Commission's meeting agenda and then removed at the last minute because of lack of preparation. I am concerned that these that this is trying to be put through, and it sure feels to me like, I probably shouldn't say this, but it feels like a toddler that keeps testing the boundaries to see what he can get away with. That's what it feels like to us, the citizens. This is our observation, and I'm saying our because it was just mine until I just said this, and everybody agreed. If it wasn't, I'm concerned that as he keeps making these attempts, if it wasn't for the vigilance of a few of our citizens sitting directly behind me, and I want to thank them. If it wasn't for their vigilance, who knows what the outcome would be by now?
Yep, exactly.
I got off script. I knew I should have done that. All right, some of the mistakes. Okay, no, here, hold on. It seems to me that this developer keeps making this request for one of two reasons. He either wants to see if he can ramrod this unprepared development through under the radar, or he is naturally so incompetent that he is blissfully unaware of his severe level of unpreparedness. Some of the mistakes on the early application are extremely troubling for a professional in this industry. Are we in White Oak? Are we in Bethel Park? No. Early plans submitted by the developer to the township for final approval included those two community names for our township. On the paperwork that they submitted to our people. How does a professional developer make such a fundamental mistake like that? Who is checking their work internally? We are South Park Township. If these types of mistakes are happening at the planning level, what is the guarantee that larger mistakes aren't going to happen once ground is broken? If this developer can't even get straight where he's going to be doing the developing, perhaps he should go somewhere else and leave South Park Township alone. At what point does our township say enough is enough? This developer is being irresponsible and he's wasting the township's time and our resources. This is not the kind of developer I feel comfortable doing this level of work in my backyard. And this is my backyard. My property borders this. Another concern is a critical safety and financial issue tied directly to this proposed development, the single narrow culvert bridge at the Stoltz Road entrance, the only access point for the development and for future residents. The corrugated metal and concrete bridge on Sleepy Hollow Road was constructed in 1999 and has an estimated lifespan of 25 to 50 years, depending on use and conditions. It was designed to support a small number of existing homes that we see currently, light local traffic, and occasional small business use. It was never engineered for heavy construction equipment, including industrial trucks, or the daily traffic generated by more than 100 new homes. Construction traffic will accelerate structural failure. If this development proceeds without infrastructure upgrades, which it does not sound like we're getting any infrastructure updates in this, which the supervisor said that this bridge had to be handled, and it's not being handled. I've lost my place again. Excuse me, I'm sorry. The township will send an unavoidable amount of heavy construction machinery, logging trucks, excavators, cement mixers, all sorts of big, heavy machines over this bridge that has already been discussed. We don't know the weight limit of this bridge.
Right.
Who's to say that they're not going to destroy it as soon as they start going over it? Common sense and engineering both tell us what happens next. Rapid deterioration, early failure, and a shortened lifespan. And because the bridge and road belong to the township, the obligation to repair or replace them will fall entirely on the South Park taxpayers, not the developer. If this bridge fails after the development is built, the township will face a temporary bridge to maintain access for hundreds of residents, demolition of the existing structure, construction of a larger replacement bridge capable of handling the significantly increased traffic load. This is not a minor repair. This is a multi-million-dollar project, one that has one that becomes unavoidable the moment 100-plus homes rely on that single aging bridge. To move forward without addressing the single-access aging bridge would be fiscally irresponsible and a clear failure to safeguard public safety. This is not an opposition to development. This is a call for responsible planning. I would urge the township to require the necessary infrastructure improvements, including evaluation and reconstruction of the Sleepy Hollow Bridge before recommending final improvement. We've already seen that this developer protects himself from making court-ordered restitution to property owners whose property he has damaged by declaring bankruptcy and dodging his responsibility. Majestic Woods LP is one bankruptcy away from riding off into the sunset after destroying other people's life's investments. He's done it before. I imagine he'll do it again. So this brings me to my final question. Should this development receive final approval, what is South Park Township's plan for protecting both the township and the neighboring properties from any potential damage from this developer's negligence, and protecting the taxpayers from having to foot the bill for repairs to infrastructure long after Majestic Woods LP ceases to exist? What is the solution? What protects me? What protects Bonnie? What protects every single person in here that pays taxes to this township from that bridge after Majestic Woods has moved on, from that bridge needing reconstruction as a result of what they are going to be doing? What's going to protect us? I humbly ask you folks to reject this developer's application for final approval. We need to stop this irresponsibility right here, right now. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Sharon?
Sorry.
Good evening. I'm going to turn to you. I'm Sharon Adams. Thank you for your vote. I'm your future supervisor. Sorry, Sharon Adams, 6528 Ventura Drive, Pittsburgh, 15236. I appreciate all of you that spoke this evening. Your research is amazing. Your commitment, your diligence. I am requesting you to postpone this till the new board gets appointed. Because we will inherit the consequences of this development. I don't know what's going to happen. I can't guide with, oh well, I hope that doesn't happen. I can't work like that. I can't knowingly put lives at risk with that culvert. Tom, you said it, everything that was on my paper. I can't do that as a supervisor. On January 5th, I will be taking an oath to protect and serve all of the residents of this township. It is a responsibility that I do not take lightly, and this culvert is not safe, and I am fearful of what's going to happen. I urge you to think about your decisions, but I also want you to think about your grandchildren and be ready to answer them when they ask, hey, Pap, why did you alter this? Why did you destroy this magical place called Sleepy Hollow? Thank you.
Deborah?
You guys
Deborah
can
Duncan?
stop this, you know. You can just vote no. Come on, my But you know, we don't have to stay here all night if you just admit that this is a bad idea.
Deborah Duncan, 2451 Stewart Road, South Park. I've probably been in township longer than most anybody in the room. I also have very deep concerns, not only with Sleepy Hollow based on what I've heard tonight, but with how our township operates overall. I just don't understand how we get to this meeting with these facts that should have been known and were not discussed to the supervisors. As a supervisor coming in, I don't want that happening when we're on that board. I think full disclosure is the very first thing, and I think we need to surround ourselves with people who are going to make sure we have everything we need to make decisions in the best interest of the township. So I applaud you guys, and I am amazed at what you do, and the fact that you stood up the last time and said no to this recommendation. And I think if there were 5 supervisors on the board, there may have been a different outcome when they voted as well. And that's all I have to say.
Sarah Summer Oliphant?
Hello, my name is Sarah Summer Oliphant. I'm at 3572 Falmouth Drive. I want to start by saying how grateful I am to Jason and Tim for all of the work they've put in to have the codes and ordinances to give the facts that most of us aren't aware of. I'm here tonight to urge this commission to withhold final approval for the Sleepy Hollow development. Honestly, how can you approve what isn't complete? We heard every detail of a proposed wall, but there is no plan shared regarding stormwater design, geotechnical hazards, or mine subsidence. Sleepy Hollow Road sits above an active subsidence risk, and if the ground gives way beneath this development, it will be the township and taxpayers left to bear the cost. Beyond the technical issues, let's remember 15,000 residents have signed petitions opposing this project. You already voted against preliminary approval, and Allegheny County raised serious concerns about road width, bridge safety, and emergency access. Our community has been clear, united, and unwavering. This development is not right for South Park Township. Also, what Jason shared about the emails asking that traffic information be withheld speaks volumes. A lie by omission is still a lie. If the developer is lying about that issue, how can we trust anything they say? Finally, I want to emphasize accountability. The Board of Supervisors granted conditional preliminary approval, but under the law, those conditions had to be accepted in writing within 30 days. No such acceptance exists. By definition, that means preliminary approval has expired. Without valid preliminary approval, this project should not even be discussed at this point. Board members, you are the safeguard between this community and a reckless development that ignores engineering standards, environmental protections, and the will of the people. Do not reward an incomplete, unsafe, and non-compliant application. The only responsible action tonight is to deny final approval. Thank you.
Julia Gunn.
Hi there, I've spoken to you guys before. Julia Gunn, 1840 Stoltz Road. I am right in front of the intersection of Sleepy Hollow, me and my animals. But what I would like to talk to you about is more about the stormwater issue. Could you put your slide up again with the plan on there, please? We're not ready for this plan. And the reason we're not ready for this plan is because of the Maripat plan. The Maripat plan sits right below this 59 acres. And there's no stormwater management there. So anything that flows, okay, if you look up here, I can see on the side, right here, this is all Maripat, okay? So you're going to put some kind of stormwater here. That is a steep slope, okay? And all the water from Maripat flows straight down the roads, right into my property, and curls around. The water curls around here to come to Sleepy Hollow, okay? which is crazy. Well, I don't know why they ever did that. So there's no stormwater management. There actually used to be a culvert above Mary Amoroso's place that kind of stopped all the water or delayed the water from coming off all the roofs and driveways. Well, if there's no water management plan there, how are you gonna stop the water when they take down all the trees? It's just gonna come straight down the hill. And I wanna show you an example. You can pass this down. This is the property, right? This is part of my property, okay? The Marapat storm system comes in, okay? 50 feet down the road. That is behind my farm. Okay, it's a gully, it's a culvert. I am the retention pond for that plan. So just to show you, and in 2018, I was worried that my farm was gonna float away because the water comes straight through Mary's property, straight down all those homes to behind my house. And you say, well, you know, it's just my farm, you know, what's the difference? Well, the sewer system runs through that area. Okay, so in 2018, all that water that came down here blew out the sewer down here, which is why South Park had to build a road to repair the sewer. So if you have all this water coming down the hill that's unrestricted, now you've got Bethel Park sewer system, you've got South Park sewer system under there. The stanchion or the pipe that comes out of the ground is right in that creek, right before that bridge, okay? So when all that water comes down through there and blows through the bridge, which nobody's even mentioned the bridge on Stoltz. The bridge on Stoltz. There's 23 inches between you and the white line. So when I have to walk to my pasture, I've got 23 inches that's safe for me to walk on. And my horse is bigger. Okay, so I take my life in my hand every time I walk down that road just to go to the pasture. So I don't think their stormwater management is going to contain the Marapat Plan's water, for one thing. The other thing is, has nobody ever thought about Bethel Park's Elementary University that they have built just over the hill? So now you've got 1,800 students, 1,800 parents, buses, 60 to 70 buses coming all around there. Now we don't even know the impact of that yet. So you add another housing plan with deliveries and cars and people, it just doesn't make sense. So we are not ready. So you need, I've submitted plans to ask Karen if she would apply for flood control, because my property is like the keystone. You need to control that water in that area, or you're gonna blow up both those bridges. The traffic, they need to do another traffic study to include the Bethel Park Elementary School. It's right over the hill, and their route right now is right down Stoltz Road, the whole way around, 60 to 70 buses, okay? So I would, in the sewer, Bethel's sewer system is on one side of Sleepy Hollow Road, and ours, the South Park system, runs right through the creek. How deep is it? Is it deep enough to stand the weight of those trucks going over that road? I don't think so. But I would like you to postpone any approval of this until there's a traffic study, until somebody's talked to PennDOT about the bridge on Stoltz Road, which is in very, very disrepair. There's always holes opening on that bridge itself. And there's just so many things that need to be addressed. And I still have, I have a mine shaft on my property, a ventilation shaft. And every so many months, they have to come and fill up the gravel because it's sinking. It's sinking because the water's coming down the hill from there, right into there. So, sorry for the rambling. Happy Thanksgiving, and I hope that you are wise to the intelligence of this group. I'm amazed at how many things that this group has found out that should have been found out by the developer. Thank you for your time. You don't want my picture.
Bonnie Kildea?
Woo. Yeah, Bonnie.
About me, where the development's gonna go. I mean, it's a hill, a big hill.
I wanna see.
My name is Bonnie Gilday. I am the adjoining landowner directly downhill from the proposed Majestic Woods development. Every failure in stormwater or erosion control will reach my property first. With that being said, what we have here is a very unique situation, because this site sits directly above an occupied residence in a working horse property. The plan requires extra caution, clear drainage design, and enforceable protections. Again, I am the only residence directly below the grading area. Runoff, sediment, spills will reach me first. This has the potential to contain hazardous chemicals, hydraulic fluid, oil from construction vehicles, water used for cleaning cement mixers and machinery. Acid mine drainage, not to mention grouting, will be extremely loud and could also release toxins. All this draining into my horse pastures, my barn, my house. Construction stormwater must comply with 25 PA Code Chapter 102, E&S and NPDES. I am requesting that you require public release of the NPDES permit, E&S narrative, concrete washout details, and spill prevention response plan before final approval is given. This township has the authority to impose conditions on this developer to protect the general welfare of neighboring properties. Again, this is a very unique case, unlike any other in this township, and I feel you should impose certain conditions to protect my family. Pennsylvania MPC 503 2 and 3 Saldo provisions must ensure adequate drainage and protection of adjacent properties. South Park Saldo embodies this duty. You can and should impose conditions to protect adjoining owners. Buffer zonings and setbacks in real estate is an important part of any planned community to eliminate potential problems between incompatible properties. My 70-year-old horse farm and its new development are incompatible properties. This township should require planted trees or a shrub buffer at the top of my property. Minimum setbacks from the slope break, drainage swale, level spreader to avoid concentration flow towards my property, and a maintenance covenant so these protections remain. Under PA law, a developer can be held liable if their actions in altering the natural water flow, concentration runoff, or increasing water discharge cause unreasonable harm to adjacent properties. The law generally prohibits an uphill owner from changing the natural drainage patterns on their land in a way that collects and artificial channels waters onto a lower property. So I ask you, why wouldn't the developer want to protect itself from possible liability? Maybe because in the past they have avoided responsibilities for their actions. I would like to read minutes from July 12, 2021 Board of Supervisors meetings concerning the villas of South Park, one of Frank Zakaitis' projects. Larry Lagaza, 3795 Snowden Road. Mr. Lagaza commented that 2 weeks ago, while it was raining, water was coming out of the hillside like a waterfall. He called the police, who told him there was nothing they could do. He had a conference call with Gary and other township employees, but no one came to look at the water damage on his property. He called to speak to Gary, but was told that he does not work for the township. Mr. Lagaza expressed his anger regarding the amount of water runoff from the new development site. He commented that his backyard is a swamp due to the bubbling groundwater coming up from the ground, and he is unable to mow the grass. He added that the water looked toxic, and he fears for his health. He reiterated that no one from the conference call came to inspect his property. Mrs. Fosbach commented that she was not part of the conference call, and Mr. Bonadi stated that he was also not part of the call. Mr. Lagaza responded that he spoke with both Mr. Bonadi and Gary regarding loud noise from the chipper shredder, which was over 150 decibels. Mr. Bonadi commented that he never received any complaints relative to the chipper. Mr. Desiros commented that Stuart Rolnick came to Mr. Lagaza's house the next day after he called. He explained that Mr. Rolnick is a representative from Gateway Engineer, who is the engineering firm representing the township. Mr. Rolnick reviewed the water situation and had the contractor make some adjustments to the other side of the road. Mr. Desiros remarked that we had 2 inches of rain in a short period of time, and there is no perfect drainage on Snowden Road. There is only a couple of catch basins as it approaches the site. Currently, the development site is in a temporary construction phase, and as soon as the stormwater system is in place, everything will stay on the site and not run into his yard. Mr. Rolnick investigated the surface water issue, but has not tested the water. Mr. Desiros commented that Mr. Rolnick is his representative in the field, and he's an expert at construction. He addressed the issues with the contractor that was causing some surface water coming off the site with stone and mulch. The water from the site should not be an issue anymore. Mr. Lagaza replied that the water flooded again on Friday. Mr. Desiros remarked that it is not related to the site. There is water coming off the Snowden Road. Mr. Lagaza commented that he has videos of water coming off the development site and running onto his property. Mr. Sakoski stated that Mr. Rolnick will contact Mr. Lagaza and investigate the situation as well as take water samples. He will then provide the board with this finding, and the township will be in touch. This is beyond frightening to me. Mr. Lagaza is across the street from the development. What happened to him is terrible. I'm on a hill directly below this development. What happens when this occurs on my property and the water runs through my pastures and puts my horses in danger, either from the toxins or the flooding? Are you going to inform me to wait until construction is complete? What will I do in the meantime? How do you think I can get through a disaster like this? It doesn't seem like the township or the development owned up to the flooding. This shows why temporary controls and active inspections matter. Pennsylvania's common law natural drainage doctrine prohibits an uphill owner from artificially concentrating discharge onto lower lands. I am requesting that this township should require proof of no new concentration, no increase in peak discharge towards my parcel, and a third-party inspection during grading. Also, please condition approval on independent inspections during storms and a rapid response protocol with restoration if off-site impact occurs. Require pre-construction video of adjacent properties, emergency spill kits on site, storm event inspections, on-call contact, and an escrow for immediate stabilization, restoration, if any impact occurs. This will be the only way to provide me with at least some insurance and protection. I don't think this is too much to ask of this developer. I've been agonizing over this development impacting my property from above, and now I have another major nightmare potentially occurring in my front yard. I would like to read a letter that I received from Mr. Frank Zakaitis. October 23rd, 2025. Dear Mr. and Mrs. Gilday, I am reaching out regarding a planned improvement to Sleepy Hollow Road that are part of a residential housing plan being developed nearby. A part of the development plans calls for the upgrade of a section of Sleepy Hollow Road to meet township specification. In designing these improvements, our engineers identified a small slope along the roadway in front of your property. To address this, an 8-foot-high retaining wall is currently designed within the public road right-of-way, and a chain-link fence would be required on top of that wall. After reviewing the plans with township staff, they requested we contact you to see if you prefer an alternative option. A small amount of grading work with a portion of your front yard instead of this wall and fence. This approach will achieve the same result, but with a much more attractive finish. I have enclosed drawings that show the current design with the wall, as well as an illustration of what the grading option would look like. We've tried reaching out to you at these phone numbers and left a message where possible. A site visit was done on the morning of October 17th, and a note was left in your mailbox. We would appreciate the chance to review the plans with you. I would also like to point out the development will proceed either way, and your cooperation is not mandatory. Please call Joe Caffrey at your convenience to discuss. Please let me know if you have questions or concerns this letter. Sincerely, Frank Sakaitis, Majestic Woods. Now, you can imagine I have many concerns over this letter. Receiving a letter from a developer notifying me of their intentions to alter the front of my home is beyond overwhelming. The drawing attached, I can't make heads or tails out of them, and I'm sure that's the point. According to the letter, South Park Township requested that Majestic Woods contact me directly. Why? Why would this township suggest that I would be open to an alternative plan that is different from what was recommended by an engineer? How can a small amount of grading achieve the same result in a 200-foot long, 8-foot high wall and fence? And I see tonight we've changed all that. Now we're to what? 3 feet to 4 feet? Also, how many times in the past has this township had a developer contact the residents over road widening? Any work beyond the public right-of-way requires my written consent. For the record, I do not consent to grading or a wall on my land. I also must have full ability to review and agree to any proposed work. Furthermore, I'm no expert on any of this, so I will require my attorney and any other associated consultants, architect, engineers to review, comment on my behalf, and any and all associated costs to be fully covered by the developer. Also required are stamped plan sheets showing property line, road, wall alignment, footing limits, drainage details, materials, elevation, construction staging. All road widening alternative must be presented on a public record with stamped drawing, safety, and ADA analysis and clear impact limits. My driveway is located above this area. Will this small thinner wall stabilize soil, prevent erosion, and manage water runoff? What about the geotechnical design calculations, drainage, blanket, weed pipe, protective outfall, surcharge from driveway, temporary access plans, the maintenance of this wall? There is so much to discuss, and I require clearer understanding of what is involved in this road widening. Why isn't this township requesting this developer to do more? Why are you allowing this developer to tell me what they are going to do to alter the front of my house? If this was any of you, would you be okay with this, or would you demand something more? I am pleading with you to condition final approval on providing the full roadway plan, set cross sections in advance, and prohibit any work beyond road without a signed recorded easement and restoration plan. I am also requesting a driveway tie-in to preserve site distance, turning radius for horse trailers, establish controls to accommodate access in and out of my driveway by vehicles and by horses. Also, how can this developer claim that they have approval or that the project is a sure thing if it has not been officially voted and approved by this township? Why in the letter would Frank Sakaitis say, I would also like to point out the development will proceed either way and your cooperation is not mandatory? Really? What a terrible thing to say to a residents when you're talking about making drastic changes to their beloved home. This just goes to show how Frank Sakaitis is going to proceed with this whole development. He doesn't care about the people of South Park or this community. He cares about making a profit and doesn't care whose property gets destroyed in the process. I will become one of his victims unless you reaffirm that no work occurs beyond the road without any written easement and that all alternates must be presented publicly. Frank Zakaitis' company, Northwest Land LLC, claims they enrich communities. I don't feel very enriched. They generate approximately $5 to $10 million in annual revenue. Seems like he's making a lot of money from developments like Majestic Woods. He's a multi-million-dollar company, and I'm a small residential house caught in the middle of all this. With this in mind, I don't think it's too much to ask that he is required by this township to invest in the following: a buffer for the top of my property, an architecturally appropriate wall, not some short, thin wall that will not hold up, landscaping that will enhance the front of my property, full restoration to ensure my property is safe, a performance bond. As an abutting property owner at 1971 Sleepy Hollow Road, I need to put on the record that the final plan before you relies on widening Sleepy Hollow Road. Yet there is no executed right-of-way dedication, easement agreement, or documented proof of an existing public right-of-way wide enough to contain those improvements on my side. The developer has stated that the work will occur within the public road right-of-way, but neither I nor the public has been provided a recorded plan, deed of dedication, or survey exhibit establishing the right-of-way width and location at my property. And therefore, there is no verified basis to conclude the proposed wall and widening will not encroach on private land. Final approval should not be granted on or unresolved off-site property conflict or an assumption that a right-of-way issue will be worked out later. Until the application produces clear recorded right-of-way documentation and or obtains the necessary property rights and revises the plan accordingly, the submission is incomplete and approval will be premature and could expose the township and residents to an unlawful taking and future liability. I respectfully request the Planning Commission table or recommend denial of final approval unless and until these right-of-way and encroachment issues are fully resolved in writing and shown on the final plans. I appreciate the opportunity to show my concerns regarding this proposed housing plan. While I understand the importance of development and growth, this project directly affects my home, my horses, my daily life, and the character of this community. I feel that I have raised many unanswered questions that makes it difficult to fully understand or support this development. Until drawings, permits, and protections are on the record, approving final plans risks preventable harm. I respectfully request that the township provide clear, detailed responses to the outstanding issues before moving forward. Transparency is essential to ensuring that any decision made is in the best interest of both current residents and future generations. I urge you to pause final approval until all these matters that are brought up tonight are addressed thoroughly and publicly. Please postpone approval and direct the application to submit the following: NPDES and E&S permits, stamped roadway alternates, proof of no encroachment beyond road without my easement, a top of slope buffer with drainage controls, third-party inspection during grading, and all consultant fees paid by this developer. Thank you for your patience, time, consideration, and commitment to serving our community. I want responsible development, and I need enforceable protections. Everything I love, my home, my horses, my land, sits directly below this site, and every risk you allow here flows downhill to me. This plan is incomplete, unstable, and unsafe. The drainage, the slopes, the missing safeguards, they all point to the same conclusion. This development is not ready for approval. When Mr. Zakaitis finishes his project and moves on, the damage stays behind. The flooding, the landslides, the destroyed properties, they become the township's problem, our community's problem, my problem. He'll be gone, and we'll be the ones left living in the aftermath. Once the soil is cut and the hillside gives way, there's no fixing it. No amount of blame or paperwork will stop the water from running downhill. I'm asking you to do what your ordinances and your conscience require. Stop this plan before it creates another disaster. Because when the water starts pouring through my pastures and into my home, it won't be Mr. Zakaitis standing there asking for help. It'll be me, and by then it'll be too late.
Am I correct in understanding that if you recommend not to approve this, it then goes to the Board of Supervisors on December 8th? And they have the option of, once again, going against your recommendation.
Yeah, this is
Okay? Or,
2 weeks advertisement.
or your other option is to, if appropriate, and if you feel that is the correct way to go, to say that the application is not yet complete based on the information we have with the conditions the supervisors put on their approval the first time.
We basically have three options. One is we can table, meaning that it comes back next month. We can recommend, which means it goes forward to the Board of Supervisors for their review and their final decision. Or we can say, we don't recommend it, and once again, it goes to the Board of Supervisors for their review. So those are the three options that we have.
As a supervisor-elect, I would request that you seriously consider how you phrase your response.
If you table it, can they?
If you table it, it stays, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you for the clarification.
If you table it, the Board of Supervisors may not approve it?
They do not get it.
Wait, excuse me, they don't get it.
Application stops the clock.
Got it. Got it.
Can I ask one more question? Since this developer has filed bankruptcy, is he gonna have enough money for our bonds? I mean, once you file bankruptcy, can you?
One of his shell companies has.
Yeah, I'm sorry,
filed
could, just, if we're just kind of speaking, maybe you want to go one at a time, to just, if you come forward, but again, I think there's a lot of voice
Okay.
process, lost track.
No, but I'm just wondering, if he's filed for bankruptcy, doesn't that mean he doesn't have any money? So is he gonna post bonds for the streets, bonds for the property?
Yeah,
Where's he getting the money for the bonds?
Should it get to that point, that's right, you're correct, it's those
Yeah.
bonds and things, that's
Right.
a separate issue.
That's after the approval. If
Right, but isn't that something we ought to think about?
Yeah, it's not, honestly, that's just something that's not before this planning commission. That's something that's not before the planning commission. It's something they would have to review. But that's not something this planning commission can evaluate. They don't have the information.
Well, right, so don't you have to know the financial records of the developer to move forward?
Not at this time.
Okay.
Our, Walt Meyer?
Mayor, quick, I heard enough of everything in the last couple of ladies. I mean, they did an excellent job, and I just wanted to come up and introduce myself as Walt Major, and I've been doing this for over 60 years, not 40. I've been in design and now construction for the last 20, and buildings, and one of the things I was really curious about, all the slides that went up here, I don't know if any of you even saw one of the drawings. I saw the drawings from Tom. And they're drawings, and it'll take me probably 2 days to go through all the drawings. There's so many of them. But I'm surprised the township engineer, they didn't bring up and throw up on right there what these couple ladies said. Where are the stormwater management plans? Post-construction. Where are they at? Where are they gonna be located on that site? And he has to give us geological information, like 10% of the water runs off in a wooded area. And when you pave it, 95% of that gallon runs off. And it's, goes to geological information. I have it long before the they took over the stormwater, I used to just dump it in the creeks back, there in 1990, they stopped that. And I'm not allowed to do it now, so I run 5 feet outside the building for the stormwater and the civil engineer. Like I said, but from what I saw, and all the years I've been in here, and Tom and his third-party inspector beat the daylights out of me when I submit drawings. They're engineered and sealed, but, I mean, I get the daylights beat out of me. And I correct them, and that's just after a building permit, but, I've never approved them drawings. I want to do, and I'm surprised, I don't know if any of you've seen the drawing, but he has a stack on there. And I look at drawings all the time. I swear, if I was reviewing the drawings, it would take me solid 2 days to look at those drawings to see what I'm reading when he's drawing, because they're really correlate with what it's saying. And I know the stormwater management plan, that might be there, but I'm surprised it wasn't mentioned here, but that one woman is asking. And the other issue is, there's no permits issued, right, Tom?
No permits, not.
So no permits, so now you're gonna be building to the 2021 IBC, Pennsylvania's adopted that. And in that instance, with new building codes, every one of those houses have to have a federal res check, which is an energy conservation form for every house built there, submitted to Tom or his third-party inspection agency, that it be energy for both energy, lighting, and plumbing. And that's the new codes, it's enforceable, starting January 25. So, I'm done. I just want to say I've worked 60 years or 40 years. Thanks.
Okay, that was all the folks that had signed up to speak, and I think we've got a good response, good feel for what issues and concerns that are out there for the community. Mr. Wetzel, do you have, would you like to, there were some things that were stated, like concerning the bridge, or the culvert, I should say. Are there any things that you would like to address?
Hi, I'm Leslie Peters, I represent the developer, and I just had 3 comments to make.
Could you state your name again?
Sure, I'm
for
sorry,
the
Leslie
record?
Peters from Rolls Rice, we represent the developer. Pennsylvania courts have uniformly determined that municipalities may not withhold approval or deny approval based on third-party approvals. The second comment is simply that the township's experts have determined that the plan meets all of the ordinance requirements. And the third is that the township's experts have determined that the final plan conforms to the approved preliminary plan. And those were my comments.
There is no preliminary approval, it's invalidated, accepted in writing within 30 days.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do you want to address that topic?
Do it.
We believe that the communications between the developer and the township evidenced an ongoing working relationship. We continued to work to address the comments as they were provided. The township continued to provide us comments based on our submissions to the township in response. There was a lot of back and forth in those emails. So
It doesn't meet the ordinance requirements.
I'm not going to argue with your residents, but those are my comments.
Nancy, her landowners. Get up there and redirect.
Is there anything further for the developer? Do you have anything else you want to add here?
Oh, thank you.
Can they show the school bus turning plan? Of course he doesn't.
Oh. They're gonna hurry up, get up. Can I just say one thing really quick? Or no?
Well, you're elected. You should.
She's elected.
She's elected, she should be allowed, the other 2 did.
So,
It's just, if you're gonna have an executive session real quick, I just wanna say one thing.
sure.
Okay.
Please come up, state your name for the record and your address.
She's elected too.
Whitney Gassmeyer, 2989 Amy Drive. I just want to say, if you guys go do an executive session, like before, whenever you voted to not approve or whatever, you voted as the plan being complete, right? So if you had said that it was incomplete, then Dan would have had to have given the reasons why it was incomplete and given them to the Board of Supervisors. And then the burden of proof would have been on the Board of Supervisors to say that the developer had met those conditions, right? So I'm not faulting you guys, but what I'm saying is listen, these emails, we can't, and no disrespect to Dan or Tom or anything, but when those emails came through saying that they would, can you opine that this will work out okay? And okay, we're not going to include that. Immediately that should have raised a red flag, and either Tom or Dan should have immediately spoken to Karen or the Board of Supervisors and said, hey, or he should have spoken directly to the developer and said, we're not comfortable with proceeding with a plan where you're not fully providing all of these details in a public meeting. We can't operate like that, and we shouldn't operate like that. And so what I'm saying here is, like, if you guys go back there and you decide to do whatever, no matter what you decide, please talk to Irv and then work out these specific reasons why this plan is not complete and why you can't approve it, okay? Because that Board of Supervisors, they're going to throw it back to the engineer. They're going to come up with some nonsense. No disrespect, I'm sure you're nice people, but as far as this goes, we would not hire Frank Socates to work on our plumbing in our house. We wouldn't ask him to come put a deck up in the backyard. If we had scheduled work with somebody and we Googled them and we saw all these lawsuits, we would never do that, okay? And I don't want to get emotional, but my heart breaks for Bonnie, because we know, just like she was saying about that man on Twitter, there is no hero here. There's nobody that's going to swoop in and save her. Okay, you guys are the heroes right now. Okay, you guys get to be the people that trust your gut, trust your instincts. Say if this was your house or if this was happening to you, you wouldn't want to work with this person. And if you saw these emails from people that were working with this person and you had signed up, you would back out. You would back out of it. You know what I mean? So just please be precise with everything and count on this group that's voting. Don't count on the engineers. Don't even count on our engineer. Okay? That's all. That's all I have. Thanks.
I'd like to make a motion if we move to executive session. Second.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion is carried. We will be back shortly.
What does that mean? It means they go back there and they talk with the lawyer and figure out what they can do. Nobody, the developer, and nobody over here. I think our engineer go in there. No. Yeah. Right? I know, 100%. That's like day one. 100%. I agree.
My son's flying in tonight. Tomorrow morning at 5:30. I got
Wait, we take hitchhike.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Dad, don't fall.
I need to set her up here. That's what the rest of I think you grew 1 foot since I saw you last. I feel so little. I'm not even up to your shoulder.
Because he gets paid for all the on-site inspection.
Imagine coming down there, like coming back from Jackson and see Summit Station, you're getting nauseous.
I don't know if you saw on the my house and Roger, my next door neighbor, the estate house is literally going to be right behind our house, probably 100 feet away. Because they're going to be big houses. They're going to build 2 big houses. Whoever wants to pay a lot of money to live behind me. I mean, I pick my nose in the morning, so they may not want to do that.
I don't want to do that.
Yeah. Well, they're going to be right behind Sleepy. Literally, they are at the bottom of my hill. There will be one house behind my house in Rogers, and then one house beyond in the center. Because this property goes beyond the to build my house. I knew that was private property. I knew that it was privately owned. My expectation was the property with the creek isn't going to be an issue. I was wrong. My expectation with the property across the street was you'll have a couple of little houses, big houses. Somebody with a lot of money will buy and build a house up on the hill. No big deal. But I am a conservative. I am for property rights. With rights come responsibility. And this developer is not responsible. And that has been my approach the entire time. Do I want to see this garbage in my backyard? No. My opinion of what I look at and see has no bearing on this. Because I couldn't afford to buy that house. But again, that's why I keep calling it community frontage. Developers flies away on his private jet back down to Florida, and she's left with nothing. Absolutely nothing. If the hillside gives way, and Nancy's yard goes down, my yard goes down, Roger's yard goes down, they'll declare bankruptcy, they won't owe us either penny. Because a bankrupt company can't be sued, they can't make restitution, and we're stuck with our life investments gone. It's not going to
Where's the bedroom?
It's on the obstacle. If they find a way Thank you.
Right beside the so much I became friends with Gary. I bought my lot directly. We are below lots, being up in the high lots. I didn't want the high lots. My parents lived down in Shore. My dad's the guy that was always out working in his lawn, second down. Oh, Ricky been to these meetings. Anyway, so my mom, yes, my mom is a piano teacher. My mom was Gary's, two of Gary's kids. So my wife and I found out we were getting a baby. And we said, where are we going to put it? What were we thinking? I started looking at properties. I wanted to be close to my parents. No intention. My parents moved there in 88, and I graduated high school in 95. I got married in 02 and I moved to Hawaii. Yes. That's what I'm saying. I for some reason. So anyway, I was telling my parents, we're looking at a lawn. It's owned by a Gary Carmen. And she goes, do you know who that is? I said, no. So I remember my parents doing brain aneurysm. That's his son. Okay, so I buy the lot directly from Gary. We had a builder that we would bring my builder didn't want to deal with the slope. And Gary's last name.
Okay, thank you very much, everyone, for your patience. We're calling the session back into order.
Calling the recess back into session.
Yeah, calling recess back into order. Irv, would you like to comment for us?
Yes. I don't know who's speaking on behalf of the applicant. Ms. Peters or Mr. Wetzel?
Depends on what the question is.
Right? You guys hear me okay? Am I not on?
Okay, there we go.
Okay. So obviously, like, there were a number of issues raised by the public this evening. Issues, and the issues that I saw were, the issue of the acceptance of the conditions, NPDS permit, condition on, I think you addressed verbally in the last comment. There were some issues raised regarding the geotech report on how it was done. There were issues raised regarding the stormwater management and how it was going to be maintained during the construction process, as well as an explanation of how it would work. Issues regarding the response to the DCED comment letter. And the board would like to give you the opportunity to address those issues in full, time to prepare, in writing, and give you the opportunity. You can submit it back to the board within 15 days if you would like to have the table tonight.
We would not.
Okay.
We would prefer that the board take action.
Thank you.
So would we.
Or table it. Why does she get to make the call?
So, we have two items to vote upon. One is the application complete, and Mr. Irv, can you we had talked about whether this was actually complete versus not. Could you provide some guidance to us on that issue?
The application itself is complete, so you're gonna have to, based on the information from the staff that's given to you, you have to go, you have to take that, you have to respect the advice you're getting from the township staff. It says the application is complete, that's how it ends up getting here. If they didn't come here, it wouldn't be, so I think that's the answer to that question.
Thank you. Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to accept this final application for major subdivision, also inclusive of a submitted multi-phase major land development plan for the proposed development of 108 lots to be located along Sleepy Hollow Road, lot/block 771-F-75, as being complete per the subdivision and land development ordinance, as well as for the conditions stated within the May 24th Township approved preliminary plan.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Motion is carried. The second item is to consider final approval for a major subdivision to be also inclusive of submitted a multi-phase major land development plan for proposed development of 108 lots to be located along Sleepy Hollow Road, lot block number 771-4-75, as well as for the applicant's fulfillment of all associated conditions stated within the previously approved preliminary plan. Do we have a motion to recommend, not recommend, or table?
Mr. Chairman, I have a point that I want to ask the developer. Are you saying to us that you do not want to take time to address the comments and questions that were made here as a rebuttal to their comments?
What we're saying is we believe the application is administratively complete. We believe the township's experts have indicated to you that we have met all of the township requirements in the zoning and subdivision land development ordinance. That the application, again, is complete, including the geotech report, the other various reports that have been referenced. From what we've heard from your experts, those things have been reviewed, vetted, and found to be in compliance with the township's requirements.
Didn't answer the question.
Well, I'm trying to give you an opportunity to provide the planning commission explanations for what their allegations are regarding these issues that the solicitor has outlined, and you're telling me that you would prefer not to do that.
That's correct, sir, yes. We would prefer that. We would like the planning commission to make a recommendation.
Table it.
Table it.
Table it. Get rid of it.
Please table it.
Sit down.
Should we go down the line?
Well, let me ask the solicitor, do we have an option to table it?
I think, I'm not sure.
Yes.
I'm not sure where.
Yes.
I need to look
Should
at,
have known that when
I need to look at some information.
It's got nothing to, yes, yes,
Why
not
is it
answering
on
what
the
we're
agenda?
asking.
Why is it not on the agenda?
Because we're trying to get to the answer just like you are,
Just-
so wait a minute.
Just so everybody's clear,
Ladies and gentlemen, please.
just so everybody's clear, right, there are timelines set forth in the municipality's planning code for something to be a decision, otherwise you run into deeming approval issues. I believe there's an extension of time granted that would allow us to extend this beyond this time, but I need to, before I give advice to this planning commission to table it, I don't wanna put anything at risk. So I wanna look at what the information says and, what we already have in writing, that the applicant has already submitted a letter, extending timelines, but I just don't recall how long. So,
If you could just give us a moment. Is that something?
What happened to the sunshine laws? It's supposed to take place in a public.
They're not violating any.
We'll see. We'll see.
They're not, I know we're not.
Perfect.
You can sit there and tell me we are, and
just to
tell
be
me
clear,
we're not.
no planning commissioners are in the background, they're all sitting right here.
They just were for a half hour.
That was an executive session.
Thank you.
Getting legal counsel.
Legal counsel, that's absolutely proper.
Sounds good. Thank you.
It's proper. This is not, I'm back here.
Just ask him what he's doing. He's giving her an opportunity to answer questions. She's not able to do it, so they should say, we don't get answers to the questions. We're not giving answers.
A year and a half to get this information. The information is not here after a year and a half, and we're still playing games. It's unbelievable. You're going to be reading this in law school someday. This case.
It's 90 days.
What's that?
Does he have to look up what he needs to do?
That's the clock. It's fine. I don't know what, these are solicitors.
You're up. You're up. Seriously, it's got to change. It's got to change.
How did they go back there that whole time and not spell out all their options?
Thank you. Thank you.
Right. Like here, you table it, you vote on it.
These guys don't want to do it, and they're going to push them to do it. Very clear. These guys are better.
Yeah.
So these people will still be the same people? Or do you change that? Like, you guys pick that? But I mean, the Board of Supervisors picks them anyway. I mean, how did they get here? These guys? Yes. Wait for the supervisor. You're changing up the people that were there are going to be the same and you're part of the new group. Yeah. When do you decide if they're still here? It should be January. It should be the January organization. So they're under the gun right now because they were picked by the Board of Supervisors. So they want to stick. But then if they want to make other people happy to stick around, you should go your way. Exactly. Boy, I'm catching on.
I missed my window of opportunity, but it's 15 or 11. I don't. I have a similar problem, but it's much later. Mine's later. Yeah, mine's earlier, and then I'm not good. Like we want to look at it 2 a.m.
I mean, that's
Do it the right way, not the gray line. These guys live on the gray. It's ridiculous.
That is ridiculous.
You go to any other township meeting, this one happens.
I know.
Yeah.
Thank you.
90 days.
So I think the extension of time that was granted covers the township to render a decision by December 26th. And so unless they're gonna grant a further extension of time, I think this board has to render decisions. I'll ask you, do you wish to further extend the timeline?
No, you got till December 26th.
Yeah, so we're under a timeline under municipalities planning code to render a decision. They're here today, obviously, they're within this timeline, but the next, you must schedule the board of commission, the board of supervisors.
It's 90 days. The clock starts when they accept the application as complete.
No, sir, that's not correct. That's just not correct. The application is when it starts, but there's been other correspondence between the parties where they have extended the deadline to render a decision.
Dan's final letter wasn't just on Friday. Dan's final review letter.
I'm giving that advice.
It's in the ordinances that it's 90 days from when this happens.
Can you read it to us?
That's not accurate, sir.
Put it on the record and read it.
Read the record.
There's a lot of details here that I can't, I'm not going to discuss.
We would never, we would.
Transparency.
I'm giving the advice. Thank you, Mr. Furman.
Yeah, just believe us, why?
Yeah.
Preliminary approval is void. Preliminary approval is void.
So, I know I had read this, I don't know if we need to read it again. And Pat was starting to make a motion. I don't know if you want to continue with that motion, Pat, or what you want.
I gotta tell you, I'm very disappointed that you guys aren't taking the opportunity to take 15 days and come back and give an explanation. that is just not sitting well with me at all. I need to be fair, and I'm one of the people that wants the damn thing to go through. Because I understand, a lot of people here tonight talked about things that need to be addressed. As long as we developed it and it was done right and done according to all of the regulations. I'm trying to reconcile that in my mind about giving, but you don't want to take that opportunity, so you put us in a very difficult situation.
I appreciate that, and I apologize, but again, your township experts have indicated to you that our submission is complete and complies with all of the applicable ordinances. They've reviewed all of the documents that we've provided. So I think based on that alone, we're prepared for you to take action.
Can we just ask a question?
Sir, there's a, with all due respect, there's a motion, there's actually a motion pending.
He hasn't made a motion.
Let him talk.
Let
their side talk.
Well, it has to do with withdraw.
If the ordinances require submission to the Allegheny County Conservation Group of the final plan, and that's not met, how are they meeting the ordinances?
They didn't meet the conditions of preliminary approval.
They give
preliminary approvals.
Jay, just one at a time. How are they meeting that? It's in our ordinances that it's gotta get final approval, the final plan has gotta be reviewed. It went to the Allegheny County Economic Development Group. It never went to the Allegheny County Conservation District. Never did. Matt Gordon, you have an email.
I don't know if that's, I don't know where it was sent, where it was, but.
But this is in our ordinances.
You want to see the
What about the environmental permit
That's
from the
not the question.
DEP?
First,
No, you haven't done your job.
The question for the board is the application. They've already been told the answer. They have to rely on the application being complete. If those other.
No, they don't, otherwise he would vote.
If those things, if there are other issues that you raised this evening, and again, I asked the developer, if the board or the planning commission feels they were not adequately addressed, they'll make a recommendation to deny the plan. If they feel that it was adequately addressed, they'll make a recommendation to approve the plan that will go forward. The issue of completeness is already been decided, it's here. So they don't have a right, even if, I'm not saying you are or you're not, I'm saying even if those things are correct, they have to take action.
Okay, can I just read this into the record?
table.
Because I think this is important. Because we're making a decision, I think, and we're not understanding the ordinances, right? So this is 118-16, item 2. For the purposes of these regulations, the first meeting of the final application reviewed by the Planning Commission will constitute the official filing date of the final application. Thus starts the 90-day review period provided for by law.
Right.
Where's that at? 90 days. This is our ordinances.
Yeah.
How do we not follow this? Anybody wants to build a house or do anything, they gotta follow the ordinances. Developers come in and they don't have to follow. They don't have to file to the, because we all know why they didn't file to the Allegheny County Conservation District, because they know they're gonna be told immediately, and you can call Matt Gordon tomorrow and ask him this. The reason they're not doing it, because they know instantly they're gonna tell them, no, you're not getting a general permit, you need an individual permit. They don't want that, because that means this thing is gonna sit for a year. And all the scrutiny that this is gonna undergo before a shovel hits the dirt is gonna find all these other issues. All the issues with the geotechnical report that we heard from Ted Sobek. It's all gonna come to light. How is it gonna look on this board that you approve something and all these problems over the next year are gonna come to light, and this just got shoved down everyone's throat, and you're ignoring ordinance after ordinance, and you're saying you don't think that's the ordinance? It's right here in black and white. I just read it. 90 days. This meeting starts that clock running.
I'm not going to debate with you, that's my.
I know you're not. The Board of Supervisor action, within 90 days of the official date of the filing of the final application, which we just defined here in the prior ordinances tonight, they have 90 days to approve or make a decision on that. Everything is saying 90 days. It's pretty clear. It's black and white.
No, it's not. It's not correct, sir. I don't.
Are our ordinances correct?
Show them. Let's see your ordinance. He has a problem.
How does someone understand how the ordinances that are written, that we pull offline, or we look at the library, that's where these are from, they're saying these are not correct anymore? I mean,
Just tell us. Speak to us.
Because I know if anyone's trying to build a house, and they come up and say, oh, these ordinances are not correct.
The language is correct, sir. The situation is different than that which you described.
How? A house is a house.
For purposes of these regulations, the first meeting of the final application review by the planning commission. Is that what's going on here tonight?
No, sir. It's already been, it's been here tabled in the past. So
It's not, the final application has never been
No,
tabled.
sir.
The preliminary has been
The
tabled.
plan has been submitted, their plan has been submitted, you have to take action.
So there's a meeting without public
No,
knowledge.
no, sir.
The first
It
meeting,
was submitted, the application was submitted.
it doesn't say anything about that.
That's not, there's other factors involved.
It's
This is black and white.
It's Jason, it's right on the agenda.
Read it.
Except.
Can't hear you.
This will be litigated without a doubt by this group here. Why you don't fear this group more than you fear that group? I
Can
don't
we
understand.
have the floor, please?
Yeah, it's yours, guys. It is yours.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion to not recommend this application for final approval for a major subdivision, also inclusive of submitted a multi-phase major land development for proposed development of 108 lots to be located along Sleepy Hollow Road, lot block 771-F-75, as well as for the applicant's fulfillment of all associated conditions stated within the previously approved preliminary plan.
I'll second.
So the recommendation, or I should say, the motion is to not recommend. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed?
Nay.
Patrick Sable was the voting against. The motion to not recommend this to the Board of Supervisors has passed.
Yay!
The next regular meeting for the planning commission.
It just gave them
Very quickly, the next regular meeting for the planning commission is Monday, December 22nd, 2025 at 7 p.m. Just a reminder, the Board of Supervisors meeting that will cover Majestic Woods is on Monday, December 8th.
There's
at
2 weeks public notice requirement by law.
It is Monday, December 8th at 7 p.m. in this location. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All those in favor? Aye. Motion is carried.